Hey there folks, Lenny Rudo here for FishTalk magazine. Today, let's talk about surf fishing for black drum on the mid-Atlantic coast. Now, I'm going to apologize in advance for mixing in desk shots like this with photographs with the actual footage from a day of fishing, but we were only two of us fishing this day, and it really takes two to effectively land these fish in the surf. It's a pretty big fish to just try and kind of drag up the beach. So we didn't gather nearly as much footage as I would have liked. That said, let's get started by looking at rigging and baits for the black drum. So what we're using here is a combination of fish bites, crab flavor, and sand fleas. I dug up some sand fleas right at the wash. Now I'm going to grab one and rebait this hook. This one just took a hit. 2 fleas a hook. 1, 2, and we'll send it on out there. We're fishing on Assateague Island. We were about maybe 2-3 miles north of the Maryland-Virginia line, but the baits and the rigs and the tactics you'll see here are effective in Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware, all up and down the mid-Atlantic coast. Digging up your sand fleas can range from really easy to practically impossible, but most of the time you can dig some up. You might want to stop by the bait shop and grab some frozen just in case you can't, but of course fresh is always better. Surf clams are another favored bait. In fact, if the bait shop had them when we stopped in, I would have gotten some. I would have been throwing some. Peeler crab is also a good one. You really need fresh. Frozen doesn't work so great. It tends to fall off in the surf. And of course, all these baits are subject to other fish hitting them and do get chewed up. Check your baits regularly. I wouldn't leave a line out for more than half an hour ever without checking it. When you're choosing your spot out, and this goes for all surf fishing, not just black drum, you really want an anomaly in the beach. It's really good if you can see a spot where the breakers roll instead of actually breaking at that second bar just off the beach. Generally speaking, you'll see a spot where they often break off the beach. That'll be an outer bar. And that's if you can find a spot where the waves roll there instead of breaking, that's really good. That means there's a deep spot coming in. But points, slaws, any kind of anomaly is definitely something you want to find before you settle in on a spot and start casting there. Now let's talk for a second about actually casting. You can see here I'm wearing boots, real Sharpies. They're going to wear hip waders, maybe chest waders, so they can get out just that little bit further. And you'll also notice I'm using a relatively small surf rod. That's a 9-foot St. Croix Mojo. I like it. It fits me well. But in the world of surf rods, this is a little one. Okay, a lot of guys are going to be using 10-footers or longer. Now I broke down the rod. It's a breakdown rod. I broke it down so I can show you the reel that I'm using. This is a Shimano Thunis 1200. It's a big spinning reel, as you can tell. Some guys like casting gear better. The critical feature, if you're using spinning gear, is to make sure you have a bait runner function. This opens up the drag. You can set it, just give it a little bit of tension, and then when you start to reel, it closes up, and then you've got full tension on the drag. And the reason that's important is because these big rods are heavy. You're always going to catch more fish if you hold on to your rod. But there are going to be times, you can't stand there for hours on end, holding all that weight. There are going to be times when you're going to want to set your rod down into a sand spike. And when you do that, you absolutely must be able to reduce the drag. So the bait runner allows you to do that. If you don't, there's going to come a day when a fish is going to rip that sand spike out of the holder and drag your rod down the beach, and you're going to watch it go away. When the rod isn't a sand spike, you're going to want to watch that tip really closely. And this flummoxes a lot of people. A lot of folks find it really frustrating. They watch that tip, the surf is constantly moving it. A wave breaks on it, the tip jiggles, and they think they got a fish. It happens over and over and over again. It takes practice, honestly. It just takes some time to watch that rod tip and get a feel for it and get to know when you're seeing wave action and when you're seeing an actual hit. One of the really cool things about surf fishing is you absolutely never know what is going to eat that bait. I mean, this is the ocean, people. Everything is out there. So what I like to do is, even when I'm drum fishing, I'll take a smaller rod and I'll throw it out there, and I'll put a different bait on it, maybe some bloodworms, maybe some fish bits, whatever, and just see what else is out there. This day we caught a ton of little rockfish. I don't know where the heck they came from. I don't think I've ever seen stripers this small in the surf before, but they were out there in big numbers. We reeled in a bunch of them. So, you just never know. And that's part of the fun of fishing. Don't miss another cool Fish Talk video. Click below to subscribe.